Hello everyone, I'm Tucker Hazel and this is MDEV 2025 and we are doing our creator conversations today. I've got Peter Hoppe here talking about Cosmic Scramble. And this is a game that is out in our indie hall as a arcade cabinet. I think you're the only arcade cabinet there, but this game is also in the demo on Steam and stuff, so it's not just an arcade cabinet, but it's also a game that's very weird, frankly, and complimentary. But we're here to talk about what this game is, and so why don't you give the basic description of what Cosmic Scramble is?
Yeah, it's one of those things I've really enjoyed asking playtesters to give me a description of how to play it, because it's one of those things I've leaned into almost like Crypto Necrodancer meets a little bit of like real time. Someone described it as Bop It. Of kind of a thing of like each, so basically how it works is you're going through a grid from bottom to top. You're trying to get to like the very top of the screen, but every time you move, the kind of the controls where they're mapped to scramble.
Yep.
So like for example, let's say up can be up, but then up can then move to your right. So you got to press right to move up. You got about a second or two to kind of react to it, and so kind of like playing that game of like reacting it into it. And you have like an energy meter as well to try to like for like a macro sense of trying to get through the levels before your energy comes out. In like the arcade setting, then you got to put your money in and kind of keep going that way. But on the PC, it's very much like you got your bar to try to get to the whole level, and you can just restart it, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I've never made a game, period, but I've also don't talk to a lot of people that make games that are designed in any way for an arcade, and so I'm curious how that design experience is different when you're thinking about something for arcade or Steam, home console, anything like that. Which one did it start as, and then how did you kind of have to think about it differently when you were doing it on different platforms? Yeah,
it's a really good question. When I was in the arcade one came first, there was an opportunity. It lives down at IO Arcade Bar down in downtown Madison. I had a lovely opportunity to kind of go ahead and design a system for that. The prototype that's out there right now is an old gambling cabinet. It's a little bit short. You can prefer like the classic stool situation of like slap the button sort of thing. But like that's kind of started from there. I have a soft spot for input systems. I have a background in web dev as well, so I've always been juggling, and also a little bit of VR as well. So like, how do different control schemes impact how play impacts? And for me, like having like a control system with an arcade definitely has been interesting, and like having your own kind of restraints on it. People very rarely read instructions on a PC game. Even less so in the arcade setting with all the talking going on and like the amount of drinks in you as well.
Interesting.
So like trying to like have the game design teach how the game plays has been such a cornerstone. That's why a lot of polish went into like the UI and how everything else interacts, sort of thing. Because it was so key to have the arcade game itself teach the players, because one, I'm not around, but also two, the amount of intensity they can actually give the game definitely varies in an arcade setting.
Yeah, well, because it is a arcade game and designed for like quick bursts of like chaotic energy, I'm curious what kind of players you think will enjoy Cosmic Scramble. Is there a target audience you're kind of going for, people that like a certain kind of game?
Yeah, there's definitely been, there's a reason why there's a one-player, a two-player co-op, and a two-player versus. I've been trying to, because each different game mode like goes to different certain type of people. There are certain people in the arcade who just kind of come for a drink but really want to throw themselves at a game for a bit. There's not a whole lot of single-player new arcade games out there. Most of them are trying to get more of the party setting, which is totally fine. But like then that's why the two-player versus mode came in, because try to get that kind of chaotic feel. And then the two-player co-op is that you can kind of bounce off each other. We just had some playtesting out there recently of like two people like bantering against each other, and like then they collide in their own chips into each other and they go, why were you there? I was trying to go there, sort of thing. So trying to find that balance of it all and trying to hit different player types by having different game modes, I think has been very helpful to try to like help expand its market. Yeah.
So we are at MDEV 2025 right now, and you've got your cabinet out there, and I'm curious, as someone who has the cabinet downtown and coming to an event like this, how is that different, and what is MDEV, and how does it what does it mean to you to have your game here for this group of people to play it as opposed to the bar or on Steam?
Yeah, that's a very good question and very good insight too of like you have such a different demographic. I think definitely you have way more single player here because people are coming in, seeing stuff, trying all different games sort of thing. Well, in the arcade is definitely become way more of a social event. You go out to the bar with your friends sort of thing is like way more common, especially if you're going to an arcade. So like the 2-player versions of that game is way more popular in the arcade setting versus the 1-player here is way more common sort of thing. And it's been very nice to have. I've been very happy to be here at MDEV sort of thing. I came here last year with my VR cornhole training game.
Sure.
So like to have the different vibe of like the amount of playtesting you can get from an arcade game is different for sure than the playtesting from a VR game, because different onboarding sort of thing, get people in the headset sort of thing. So it's been very cool to have the different demographics and see familiar faces from last year show up again. And like the person who's next to me last year is back again with his game as well. It's been like to see like familiar faces. Like it feels like a really part of a growing community sort of thing.
Yeah. So what is your favorite thing about being here at MDEV?
I think it is the community. You definitely get a good grasp of what is all happening in the Midwest and like really bringing it all together. And you have this kind of, you can bounce ideas off of people really easily. Like I probably spent almost half an hour past closing time just talking to another person in the area of like sharing game design ideas, stuff like that. And like that is there's such beauty in that, and like coming together in making, sharing these ideas and making a better sense of community.
Yeah. Well, I'm also curious what the timing and release schedule plans are for this game. You have it out in the arcade, but you were mentioning there's a Steam release coming. So why don't you tell people a little bit about that? Yeah,
right now there's a demo on Steam. I just participated in the last Next Fest. We got some good feedback from that one, and then we're going to try to take the feedback from MDEV and see we could like polish it up a little bit more. We're pretty confident it's almost ready to go. We've had it in it's been in IO for a while now. So like we're hoping for, if everything goes well, like a December to January release, somewhere around the holiday season, depending on how things go. Aiming for about a $3 sort of thing, kind of like a pick up and kind of play sort of thing. And like it's definitely had people very enthusiastic. We've had someone who's sitting at the arcade game for like almost for a good 20 minutes trying to go through it all sort of thing. So it's been lovely to see everyone and hear all the great feedback. And there's been almost all of it has been very positive.
Awesome.
So like that's very encouraging. To why I feel very confident in like the possible December to January release because of such the positive feedback.
Yeah. Well, how can people learn more about the game, follow you, follow your studio, all that stuff as we gear up towards a Steam release that'll be accessible to way more people than just Madison, Wisconsin?
Of course. You can definitely find Cosmic Scramble on Steam. Dirty Birdie Games is technically the title of the studio as well. There is a Steam page for that, and also you can follow the website, and also a corresponding, the VR Cornhole Training was the last release that we had as well, and that one's on the Meta Store. So you can either find there. You can find me on LinkedIn as well if you wish to follow. That's where I usually manage a lot of the postings, stuff like that, of all the information about these games sort of thing. So either of those would be fine. I would always love to get more feedback and more playtesters. You can never have enough playtesters sort of thing. New set of eyes will only teach you a new set of insights to your game.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, Peter, thank you very much for sitting down with me. For everyone at home watching this, make sure to check out Cosmic Scramble, demo available on Steam, and you can really get a good sense of what the game's going to be like and if it's going to be for you in a demo, because it's one of those games that either get it immediately or you're like, I don't want to touch this. But Peter, thanks so much for sitting down with me and for making Cosmic Scramble.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.